We'll take you guys up until 2 here on the program. Let's get to some headlines here, which are brought to you by Doral Volkswagen. At Doral Volkswagen, choose from over 300 new Volkswagen models in stock, like the Tiguan, the Taos, and the Atlas. Remember, when it comes to Volkswagen, the great deals are at Doral Volkswagen. So we got a couple of things that we're monitoring here as the show goes on today. First off, we are getting ready for the Panthers and Bolts getting going tonight. We looks like no surprise that Sergei Bobrovsky in net, of course. Playoff Bob is in full swing, so he is good to go tonight, according to the reporters at hand. The Miami Heat, they have their exit interviews going on today, which are streaming on their YouTube channel. We have it, tuned up here, so I'll let you know if anybody comes to the podium, and we'll follow some of the quotes there on Twitter. If anything juicy is said, we'll try and get you that sound to turn around. But this is just to keep everybody afloat on things, so you know how it rolls. It is voluntary, so the players don't have to speak. I believe Spo does talk at this typically. He'll do like a season wrap. I mean, usually he's like the first guy to talk. And then everybody will kind of come in, and it may be 90 seconds because nobody has questions for Keyshawn Johnson, or it might be, 10 minutes because Bam has a lot to get off his chest, or maybe nobody goes. I don't know. That's the thing. So we'll keep in tune on that with this. The Heat obviously dealing with a lot of scrutiny right now, and everybody wants to hear from Pat. Like, that's the big thing, is everybody wants to hear from Pat Riley and hear what he has to say about all this. And look, Pat right now has a lot of people coming after him. You saw Stephen A. Smith yesterday saying that it's time to move on and make Erik Spoelstra the president of basketball operations, to pull a Brad Stevens and to put everybody in new roles and new things. The thing that I don't really understand, why everybody's so quick to kick Pat Riley out the door. I understand, for people who are sitting here and they want to say, well, he was too harsh with the words. First of all, I've never known this fan base to be pissed about Pat Riley's words. Like, one of the things that you appreciate is that he does hold the organization to some kind of a standard and had some things that he's upset about, and he's going to say those things. Now, when they're not living up to those expectations, is it time because maybe he doesn't feel like he's got the fastball anymore to do it? It may, I don't know. But I will say the man's done enough for basketball in this town and has done enough raising the game, and everybody in that damn organization, everybody who, by the way, this is going to get handed off to. It's not like you're going to do this and you're poaching Steve Kerr from the Warriors or Brad Stevens from Boston, and there's going to be some new brain trust that's there. Like, if Pat Riley steps aside and he does decide it's enough, that's his right. But if he does, the organization is going to keep everything in-house, and people are going to be in a different order. Maybe they'll bring somebody new in. I think there are some arguments to bring some new voices in, for sure. But the thing is like, even the idea of like, I joked about like Goran to have some connection with the Balkan guys who may be out there, or D Wade, even if he wanted to leave the Jazz, even though I know he just took a job with Amazon, whatever. A lot of these guys, UD, all of these guys still are going to have the standards and the influence from Pat Riley. And I almost thought going into this year, before everything blew up with Jimmy the way that it was, I thought that there was a chance this could have been Pat Riley's last year anyway. He's 80, and, they named the court after him. The Lakers are giving him a statue next year. So there were some breadcrumbs that I was like, oh, this might be it for Pat anyway. Now there's part of me that's like, oh, well, the thought is he's not going to go out like this, that he's not going to go out on the worst series loss of all time. Some may say this is the perfect time. Whatever it is, what I do know is the guy has earned the right to go out on his own terms. You don't get another Pat Riley. You don't get it. And I said the same thing when Dwayne Wade left. One of the things that fans have to realize is you don't get another one of those. And if you do, sometimes it takes a very, very long time, and you got to appreciate it when it's there. Sometimes you can get pieces of it. Jimmy did some Dwayne-like things, didn't win the championship, had some heroic performances, but he wasn't like Dwayne Wade all the way. He didn't have the bubbly personality or did all of the things where he was in the organization the whole way. Had a bit of a I do my own thing mentality that obviously didn't keep the relationship as harmonious as it could have been throughout the whole thing. In the end, I mean, it did end by the same reason because they didn't pay him and they didn't give him the money the same way that it did with Dwayne Wade. Didn't feel like he got that respect. But I got a hard time for Heat fans who want to just kick Pat Riley out the door like they did Shula back in the day. Because, like, how many coaches did the Dolphins go through? You're still looking for your next Dan Marino. Yeah, Tua's had some semblances. He's had some good years, but he hasn't won a playoff game. Still 25 years since that. You're still looking for that Don Shula magic. And if you don't think, one of the things that's going to be interesting, even if that were to happen, I find like the fans are going to would be more frustrated with an Eric Spoelstra at top because Spo's not going to call things out. He's going to handle that stuff in behind closed doors because that's how he handles it. He never calls out his players. He never rips anybody. He does behind the scenes. He'll call people out and sell them like it is and say, this ain't bleeping good enough behind the scenes. Never going to do that stuff in the press. So, I don't know, man. I find that stuff uneasy. Look, I said this after the game, and I said this the next day. Where the Heat are at right now is not nearly good enough because of the standard Pat Riley set. But I don't think the man's without solutions. I don't think that organization is without solutions. They took some desperate swings at the end of that Jimmy Butler era because they thought, and this is where their ego got in the way, and they have to hold blame in that. They thought the Dame thing was in the bag. They thought they were going to be able to bully the Blazers into getting Damian Lillard and getting him at their rate. And that was stupid. It was stupid, and it closed their window officially for the championship. But they've been here before in places where they need to reset and get the organization in a better place. They've done it before. So I do trust that they can do it again. I do. And I don't think just kicking Riley out the door is going to be that. Why? Because he said some hard truths. I'd like you to play a little bit more. You don't think Eric Spoelstra feels that same way? You don't think Andy feels that same way? You don't think move UD up? You don't think they feel that same way? Hey guys, kind of want you to play a little bit more. So I'm not really sure what teams what everybody's asking for here. The only thing that is going to be there is, and the organization has to ask themselves this honestly, is there a move that they can make this year to fix things? Is this a 1 year fix? Is this a one summer fix? Because Bam said after the game, he's like, expect a lot of changes. I don't know what the hell that means, but he obviously expects it because I'm sure he's tired of getting bounced too.
Hey,
but
hope it
everybody's quick fix to that is kick Riles out the door. Let Spo have the car keys. I don't know. That's cold, man. It's cold to me. He's not without blame. He's gonna get his due there, but I'm not going to demand that the man retire or get the hell out of the organization when he built the damn organization to mean something. Hello, Leroy.
Hello. I would say
you potted up there to Dan Day. Hello,
I would say that Pat Riley has earned the right to go out under his own terms. However, he also has to be aware of what he's able to do and how he's put this thing together. Right? So, but as far as basically the people want him to do what he's done to old players for his whole career. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So there has been some moves that have caught me off guard. The Kyle Lowry, and I would say I was all in. We were all in.
Here's the thing though. All right.
That was a Jimmy thing.
Jimmy wanted his best friend here.
Right.
And so You don't want to manage your stars like, he didn't know how to manage Jimmy. Okay, you don't like since when don't we want like if the star player wants his best friend and the godfather of his daughter here, and he makes that happen to the tune, by the way, where they got smacked on the wrist for tampering.
But also, it wasn't the most unsuccessful period with Kyle Lowry. He wasn't great, but remember, number 1 overall seed, a bunch of Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. So it's not like to say, "Oh man, that was just the worst thing we could have ever done."
But I think he's been plagued with a lot of unfortunate situations. Like every move he made, that guy got hurt in the last 3 years.
They have had a very bad 2-year run.
And you didn't see Terry Rozier being a nobody.
He sucked. Like that.
But you didn't see that coming.
Well, that's the one though, Dan. Like the and that's why I say going back to the Dame trade and them not being able to, and the arrogance that they had with all of that and bullying Joe Cronin, which I did too. Of course, I laughed at that man. And that is the line where the Heat were like, too much. Our arrogance got the best of us.
Right.
And it's not the first time. They did it with the end of LeBron. They never saw the end of LeBron coming. It's like, oh, we were blindsided. And you turned that not getting Damian Lillard into a season where you were always chasing. And that's why they ended up in the situation of you went to that year and you said, we're going to have a point guard battle, which pissed Kyle Lowry off. Josh Richardson was your answer, and he got hurt in training camp. So, guess what, Kyle? You're the starter again. And then Kyle, who was getting old and long in the tooth in his final year, they got to the middle of the year, and Kyle Lowry scoring 4 points a game, and they're like, we can't do this anymore. We need some punch. And by the way, Tyler Hero, half the year injured again because he broke his ankle. And so you're sitting here in a spot where they were desperate, and they give up a first-round pick with Kyle Lowry for Terry Rozier, who was awful. And I'll never understand why they had to attach a pick to give up 1 year of $30 million to take back 3 years of $30 million a year. But they did. It was a bad move. There's no excuse, reason, rhyme for it. It was bad. And then also Terry Rozier ended up with a broken neck and a federal investigation over his head. It's a bad look. Of course it is. That's a miss. Swing and a miss. Awful. Does he need to get grilled for that? Sure, but I think I've already given you the answer. Why did it happen? Well, we whiffed on the Damian Lillard thing, and we were desperate. We did a desperate, stupid thing.
And
you want Pat Riley to go up there? You want Pat Riley to go up there, Leroy, and say, I was a stupid boy. I did a stupid thing.
But here's what I would say. As long as you've known this franchise, I can't believe that we're now in a position where they've made these desperate moves.
Yeah.
That's the part that catches me off guard, right? That's the part that I'm shocked at, is that when you call something a desperate move, that usually is not associated with the Miami Heat. And if you have to make a desperate move, it has more to do with the moves you made previous to that not working.
Stunton Steve says, I actually would like Pat to say that. I'm a stupid old man for trading for Terry Rozier. That would make you feel better?
Not going to accomplish anything.
I was going to say damage is done.
The damage is done.
So
to say he will never suit up for the Miami Heat again.
No, I they've lived on this basic fundamental. We'll bring guys in because in 2 years we'll clear up a lot of space. And they've put themselves in a situation where just because you cleared up a lot of space, you're not in a position where people are just going to bang your door down to get here because of how you struggled the last couple of years.
No, I mean, the only thing I would say is it's not one of the things with the Heat is they'll know. They'll know. They knew they had Jimmy in the bag. They knew it. They thought they had Dame in the bag. They just misappropriated how strong they should have been in the media towards the Blazers. But they did have him in the bag. They knew it. Why do you think the agent came out so strong? So if the Heat don't act, if the Heat are in a position right now. The Heat probably already know who that move is. Whether it is Giannis, they'll know whether or not. Listen, dude, Giannis's agent represents Bam Adebayo. They're going to know whether or not Giannis is into coming to Miami. They're going to know. They just gave Bam Adebayo a max extension. One would say, wink. That's how it happened. How do you think the big three happened? They were all at CAA. So this thing happens. We'll see.
Now, my other question is, here's where it becomes interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to have to give up? And how is your team going to look after that? Because what has happened in the past is you do whatever you can to get the superstar and we'll figure it out afterwards. But we've seen with some of these ancillary signings, that doesn't work. We haven't had who's the ancillary or the in-season trade or signing that has made that big of an impact as of recent.
Luka.
No, I'm talking about for this team.
Oh, this team.
What are you doing?
Well, maybe it won't work out. They may get top hat and monocle tonight.
And then Nico's going to be peacocking.
He definitely is. How about he is going?
Better not.
He is going to be. He's going to be with a disguise with the Timberwolves jersey on tonight.
Right.
We'll take a break. Back with more after this.